2025 NBA playoffs are set, and we are going to break them down in each first-round matchup, each NBA play-in matchup. I am Nic Rohloff of Chat Sports. This is NBA Now. It is going to be a fun postseason with a lot of good matchups, and boy, was that Warriors-Clippers final really, really big. And I'll tell you what, that was a taste of NBA playoff basketball. I can't wait for the full thing. Excited for the NBA playoffs. Like I am, hit that thumbs up icon. I can't wait for it to get underway in just a week. If you're with me, hit that like button. All right, we'll start in the Eastern Conference. This is how things ended up playing out. The 1 seed went to the Cleveland Cavaliers, a 64-18 season. What a year for Donovan Mitchell and the crew. Boston ends up as the 2, New York with the 3, Indiana and Milwaukee 4-5, and then the Pistons from last in the Eastern Conference last year to number 6, firmly in the playoff field. And then you see it, the play-in, 7-8 Magic Hawks, Bulls 9, and the Miami Heat in the play-in once again at number 10. And we'll start with the first East play-in game. This will be on Tuesday, April 15th. The Magic and Hawks will square off in Orlando. The winner of that game will be playing the Boston Celtics, who are the 2 seed in the Eastern Conference this year. Orlando has gotten hot, won a good portion of their games late down the stretch of the season. Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner. We'll see if they can hold off Trae Young, Zachary Sachet, and the Atlanta Hawks to get firmly in the field. The other NBA play-in game, this one occurring on Wednesday, April 16th, the 10th seeded Miami Heat go on the road to play the 9th seed Chicago Bulls. Chicago and Miami have played in the play-in the last 2 seasons. They'll make it 3 on Wednesday, ESPN game. And in case you are curious about how the play-in works or unfamiliar, the winner of Miami-Chicago in the 10-9 game will play the loser of Orlando-Atlanta. The winner of that game plays the Celtics. The loser plays on Friday night against the winner of Miami-Chicago. That team who wins that game will play the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, which is the Cleveland Cavaliers, in the first round of the NBA playoffs. So that is where the thing stands with the 1-2s. Now, the 2 matchups in the Eastern Conference that are set, those surging Detroit Pistons as the 6th seed, taking on the New York Knicks as the 3rd seed. This is a fascinating matchup here. I know a lot of Knicks fans are down on their team right now and the way they closed the season, but I truly believe the Knicks are going to be able to take care of business here. They're the more talented team, and they have more experience as well. Cade Cunningham, first time in the postseason. Tobias Harris has been there, but we know that he has his struggles in the NBA playoffs as well. The Pistons are a young, fun, up-and-coming team that will be battling for playoff success over the next 3 to 5 years for sure. But I think Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Karl-Anthony Towns, and company are just going to be too much for the Pistons to handle. This series likely will start on Saturday. Full times will be announced in the next couple of days, but I think the Knicks are going to be able to take care of business. The other Eastern Conference first-round matchup. Once again, the Indiana Pacers and Milwaukee Bucks facing off. If you remember last season, folks, that was the first-round matchup as well. It was the 3-6, I believe. Remember, Indiana went all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. The Bucks are going to be playing this series likely without Damian Lillard again. The Pacers, fast-paced. Will the Bucks be able to handle that? We'll see. It'll be a fun matchup between 2 teams that do not like each other. If you go back to last season, there was some good beef. I think it's going to be interesting, but because no Damian Lillard, I do think Indiana will ultimately get the job done. All right, who wins the Eastern Conference? You see the first-round playoff matchups. You know who's on each side of the bracket. If the Knicks and Celtics win their respective series, that'd be one hell of a second-round matchup. Cavs potentially taking on a winner of Indiana and Milwaukee. Let me know your pick down below. I'm going to stick with the Boston Celtics. I'll foreshadow what I did here earlier, but I made preseason predictions, and I was not someone that was bold. I did not go and try to go against the grain. I picked Boston to come out of the East in the preseason. I'll pick them to come out of the East as we enter the postseason. I think Boston just has too much to handle. I think they ultimately get the job done and are playing for a second straight NBA Finals championship. All right, we're going to get to the Western Conference here in just a second, but we are sponsored by Prize Picks, the #1 daily fantasy sports platform, and with the playoffs here, well, it's the perfect time to get started with Prize Picks. Pick more or less on any player stat projections. Just pick 2 or more, and you could win up to 1,000 times your cash right now. You can combine the postseason in basketball with baseball, hockey, esports, and much more. They invented flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. They have weekly promotions like Flex Friday, Taco Tuesday. On Taco Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. Join me and the millions of others. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. I made an entry for the season in the association. Did not go my way. Fortunately, Bam had less than his rebounds. Brunson did go more, and Sachet went more when I went less. So tough entry for me. But one more time, download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. All right, now over to the Western Conference, where the Oklahoma City Thunder are the top seed, 68-14 record. Rockets at the 2. LA, after acquiring Luka Doncic, played much better in the second half of the year, became the 3 seed. Denver at the 4. Will they be playing the Los Angeles Clippers in the 5 seed matchup? Minnesota sneaks up to the 6, and then you see it. Golden State, Memphis, Sacramento, and Dallas are the 4 teams in the play-in. And we'll start with that first Western Conference play-in game between the Memphis Grizzlies and the Golden State Warriors. They will face off on Tuesday, April 15th in San Francisco, where Golden State will host the Grizzlies. They're the 7 seed. Winner plays the 2 seed Houston Rockets, which is fascinating because I think if the Grizzlies win, the Rockets-Grizzlies series will be interesting, and I think the Rockets would ultimately win that series. But if Golden State is able to take care of business at home and take down Memphis, I would think Golden State might get the upset over the 2nd-seeded Houston Rockets. And the other play-in game, a pillow fight, if you will. 10-seeded Dallas Mavericks and the 9th-seeded Sacramento Kings. 2 teams that don't deserve to be in the postseason, if we're going to be honest here. The Mavericks are an under 500 team. The Kings are a 500 basketball club. None of these teams have any makings of a roster and group that is going to make a run in the postseason. So we'll see. But remember, if you are unfamiliar, the winner of Kings and Mavericks will play the loser of Golden State and Memphis. And the winner of that second play-in game on Friday will play the number 1 seed, which is the Oklahoma City Thunder, in the first round of the 2025 NBA playoffs. All right, we'll get to some of those other matchups in a second, but make sure you are subscribed because we'll have you covered on all things NBA, whether it's playoffs, whether it's trade rumors, free agency, draft content as well. Hit that sub button here at Chat Sports because we put out a lot of fun content around the NBA. All right, first series that we'll look at here is the 3rd-seeded Los Angeles Lakers taking on the 6th-seed Minnesota Timberwolves. I think this is going to be fun. I'll be honest. The Lakers, who have been playing much better, I think are ultimately going to have too much firepower. But whenever you get Anthony Edwards matching up with LeBron, Luka Doncic, how can you not have a fun time? But Julius Randle, Rudy Gobert. I've never been high on this Minnesota Timberwolves roster this season. They've had an up-and-down campaign. Ultimately, were able to avoid the play-in after making a deep run last year in the NBA playoffs. I think early predictions here, I'll likely go with LA over the T-Wolves. Give me the Lakers in 6. All right, let's head over to the other and final Western Conference first-round matchup we'll preview. The Nuggets and Clippers 4-5 matchup here. I think this one's going to be a lot of fun. I know some people are down on the Nuggets. And the Clippers have been playing excellent ball, winning 18 of their last 21 games. Yes, you heard that correctly, to nab up that 5 seed. Took down the Warriors on the road to avoid the play-in. Impressive season from James Harden. Kawhi Leonard is healthy. Ivica Zubac has been on a different planet. Norman Powell deserves to be in the most improved player consideration, if we're going to be honest here. I think the Clippers are going to be able to take down the Nuggets. I also think it's important to note, Nuggets fired Michael Malone last week. Are they playing their best ball? Are they in the right headspace? Yes, they have the best player in the NBA, Nikola Jokic, who's a walking triple-double, an average triple-double this year. But I do think the Clippers win this series. Give me the Clips to win in 6. I think it's going to be an interesting one. I think it might be one of the more fascinating first-round matchups we have in the NBA playoffs. But who wins the Western Conference? You see the potential matchups. You see the 3-6, the 4-5, the potential 1-2, the 2-7s. Let me know who wins the West and will be in the NBA Finals. I picked Boston to come out of the East. Let me know who you got coming out of the West. I'm going to go with the Thunder. Listen, I know it's chalky to go with the 1 seed in the West and the Thunder and the 2 seed in the East with the Celtics. But the truth is, to me, they've been the best 2 teams all year long. And I know Cleveland has had a tremendous year, and their record reflects that. But I think Boston's better in the East, and the Thunder are just a tier above everybody else in the West. Sure, there's some interesting matchups. Could the Lakers give them trouble? Maybe. But I don't see the Clippers being the Thunder. I don't see the Nuggets. I don't see the Timberwolves. I think it's the Thunder-Celtics finals. I picked that before the year. I know it was the projected 1 seed in each conference, but I'm going to stick with my preseason prediction. Thunder, Celtics. I also picked the Thunder to win the NBA Finals in 6 games over Boston at the beginning of the year. We'll see if that ultimately comes to fruition. You would have known about that, by the way, if you followed me on Twitter at Nic_Rohloff. I tweeted out my predictions before the year. I did have the Thunder taking down the C's. We'll see if that happens. But either way, if you want more NBA content, follow me over on X/Twitter at Nic_Rohloff.